Hi everyone, welcome to Tesla Emperor Without Clothes. This is our weekend edition, and it's been several days since our last episode, so we have quite a bit of news to cover. First, we have a Los Angeles Times article that covers Tesla's investment into Bitcoin and the fact that it's likely just a diversion from Tesla's problems in other aspects of its business. First, they report on the regulatory issues in China, which we have covered in prior episodes. Next, the article covers issues in Germany, including that Tesla is facing months of delays in factory construction, and let's put a pin here for something that we'll discuss later, and that the subsidy that Tesla was expecting for the battery plant will likely be greatly reduced. The article next discusses issues with Tesla's investment in Bitcoin and Bitcoin's issues in transactions. In particular, per accounting rules, Tesla will have to mark down losses in its Bitcoin investment as they accrue, but will only be able to recognize gains on Bitcoin when it sells. Thus, the Bitcoin investment has a much higher likelihood of being a drag on Tesla's earnings than a contributor in terms of gains. With respect to transactions, the article notes that Bitcoin is likely too volatile to be an efficient means of carrying out transactions. We recommend that you read the article for further details. And while we're on Bitcoin, we want to highlight this tweet from Andreas Hopf, noting that 70% of Bitcoin is mined in China, and that such mining consumes 1/4 as much energy as Germany uses in its power grid. As you likely know, China has a lot of coal-fired power plants. Isn't it ironic that the supposedly green car company that's saving the world is investing in a currency that contributes so much to CO2 emissions? We think so. In our next segment, we cover abnormalities in the Tesla universe. First, we had mentioned earlier that the German factories were delayed. Perhaps not coincidentally, Abnormal Accrual notes in a series of tweets that Tesla's books do not appear to show the heavy spending one would expect for factories that are rapidly progressing. Interestingly, this applies both to the Austin and German factories. As of the time that we were finalizing this episode, this thread was ongoing, so we suggest that you have a look. But this would provide some additional evidence to back up reports that the German factories are in fact experiencing delays. Next, Tesla FSD Tunnel did some calculations on Twitter, revisiting the regulatory credits that Tesla had previously earned. Tesla FSD recalculated the credits due to Tesla using the real-world range figures from the recent Edmunds.com test, and found that Tesla potentially received up to $500 million in credits under false claims. Perhaps this is something that the EPA should follow up on. Next, Twitter user Fun with Numbers was poking around Kelley Blue Book and found that used Tesla Model Ys were being valued at more than their new purchase price. We're not sure what to make of this, and neither was Twitter. Some suggested perhaps it was a collaboration to juice residuals for leasing purposes. We're really not sure, but it was certainly abnormal. Turning to China, Motorhead reports that Chinese consumers are finding little reason to go with the Model Y over the older, lower-margin Model 3, and that the Model 3 is cannibalizing Model Y sales. This corresponds with a tweet from Pass the Beano referencing a Global Times article that the Model Y is getting price cuts. Note also that the Global Times article indicates that even Model 3 sales are significantly down. Turning to Moneyball's latest tweets, we see that the MIIT has conducted a round of battery testing and publicized its results. Some of the Chinese manufacturers are seeing strong energy density numbers, which certainly rival if not exceed those of Tesla. Finally, Moneyball tweeted that the hoopla about Tesla receiving various governmental approvals to start construction on the supposed $25,000 Tesla hatchback were in fact just rumors. Not surprising, given that all we've seen of the car thus far is a very rough artist's rendering. Touching on Germany just one more time, Alex tweeted that Tesla confirmed to the Brandenburg Parliament Committee that its factory would run on 100% renewable energy. If you care to look at the thread, you'll see some colorful comments about the feasibility of that in northern Germany. Also, CoverDrive tweeted that similar promises were made in Nevada for the original Gigafactory, and Kawasaki KR1 shared some figures as to that factory's real energy mix, which is overwhelmingly natural gas. Our guess is that Tesla breaks its promise to the Germans. Now it's time to look at the latest competition that's arrived to compete with Tesla. Just this weekend, GM unveiled its revised Bolt and new Bolt EUV compact crossover. The pair are impressive, priced in the low $30,000 range and boasting 250 plus miles of range. Also, GM's excellent Super Cruise Level 2 system is available on both. We also saw updates on Kia's upcoming 2022 CV crossover, which will have 310 miles of range and supposedly 20-minute fast charging. Finally, CNBC had a look inside Lucid Motors' Arizona factory, where they'll be making the very impressive Air sedan. We highly recommend checking out the video on CNBC and having a look at this state-of-the-art facility. We next want to highlight regulatory oversight matters. More specifically, NYU economist Nouriel Roubini publicly called on the SEC to look into Musk for market manipulation. Unfortunately, we have our doubts that such an inquiry would ever happen, given that, as Stanfield Capital calls out, incoming SEC Chairman Gary Gensler recently just sold off his shares of Tesla. Well, we can always hope. And finally, it's time for some silliness. First, Musk spent some time on Joe Rogan this week. Amongst the absurd things he said during the show, Musk explained that he wants the upcoming Tesla Roadster to have thrusters so that it could hover a meter off the ground. We're really not sure what benefit this would be, but there's the richest man in the world demonstrating his genius. On a slightly more serious note, Musk mentioned that the Tesla Semi would have a mere 500 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is much smaller than anyone expected. We're really not sure if that was just some off-the-cuff BSing, or if the Semi is meant to have even less capability than we were expecting. And finally, we have this video from Abdel Moutaleb of a Tesla in a northern climate. When the trunk is open, snow falls into the trunk because Tesla didn't bother to include a gutter at the base of the rear window. We guess this is what you get from a car designed in California. We hope you enjoyed this roundup. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we look forward to bringing you our next episode.